What is going on, everyone? We're back with another review. In this one, we're reviewing Death Scenes, which kind of tells a definitely vampire story. So this was directed by, which also, before we get too far into this, don't forget, if you guys want to see all of this content a week earlier, please go over to the Patreon, subscribe to the Patreon. And yeah, that's how you get everything a week earlier. Anyways, stop. No. This was directed by Joel Morgan, written by Joel Morgan, produced by Ben Franklin and Anthony Melton. And according to the Wikipedia, it says, a man relates the story of his friend, a would-be vampire killer. So first and foremost, the very first thing that I will say I do not like about the story is every single other story that has been told up to this point is told from the perspective of the killer. And in the very beginning, it even says, according to Michael Ironside's character, if I remember correctly, he says something along the lines of, this guy killed 17 people claiming they were vampires, right? So we don't get to watch him kill any of the vampires. He tells the story of one of his friends that went and killed like 4 vampires. And what's really cool is the way they set the story up is this guy's being interviewed by a cop. And the cop pushes a picture forward. And he's like, you killed this lady. Did she break your heart? Because you broke hers. And it shows that he stabbed a girl in the chest. And he's like, you ripped her heart right out. And then he's like, and then this guy kind of deserved it. He's into prostitution, drugs, drinking, alcohol, drug dealing, or whatever the litany of crimes. And he's like a Chelsea fan. So that's 3 strikes. So they bring a little love for soccer, football, whatever, into it. And then he's like, and he's like, and you decapitated him. And then he pulls out another picture and pushes it forward. And he's like, and this old couple, an acid bath. And then the guy reveals to him, in a way that's almost like, oh, you don't understand. And the way the pictures are lined up, as he starts to push the pictures forward, he's like, this person. He slides the picture, he goes back to the lady. He goes, there's 3, there are a few ways to take out, or he's like, vampires exist, they walk in the day, they do this, they do that, and he goes through and explains all of how vampires survive, and it's a little bit different than what, normal vampire stories tell you. They can walk during the day, they can do this, they can do that. He's like, but taking out their heart, and he pushes the lady's picture back right in front of him. And he's like, she's killed so many people. And then he pushes the next person, which is the Chelsea fan, as we're going to refer to him. He's like, he killed 17 women, drug addicts, things like that. He said decapitation is a way that you can take out vampires. And then he pushes the next picture up. But each one, it's just, he's lining them up. And the next one that he pushes up is the couple. And he says, they've been at it a really long time. You don't believe me? Go look at the bones of children in their garden. Dig up underneath their garden and count the bones of the children underneath, or something like that. And when he's done positioning the pictures, there were 2 other photos, and the way it all lined up looked like a cross pointing towards the cop. He goes, and he proceeds to tell him, he's like, hey, these are the ways you can kill vampires. And he's like, and the guy's like, vampires, kind of smug with him. And he's like, you didn't realize that a vampire killer snuck in here, or how did I get a steak? And he pulls out a steak, and of course the cop turns into a vampire. The guy dives at him with the steak, and then that's the end of the story. Like I said, my only real complaint, aside from the fact it's a vampire story, and again, I'm not big on vampire stories. There are a few that I like. John Carpenter's Vampires, fantastic. Interview with a Vampire, good slow movie. That one doesn't lean too much on the horror side. It's definitely more of the romantic side. Lost Boys is good. But outside of those, I struggle with vampire movies. There are some that are fun in a goofy way. I do like Let the Right One In, or Let Me In, depending on which version you watch. I love them both. I will never. I do think the American one is a little bit better. At least that's how I feel. And there's a fun one that I remember watching that was came out not too long ago on Netflix. It had Snoop Dogg and someone else in it, where they were basically overnight. Anyways, however, this was a decently well done story. They kind of paint vampires into their own light, and yeah, it was fun. And again, I can honestly tell you right now, it is not my favorite story. It's definitely probably not my least favorite story. But it is a bummer that it's not a story that the guy's telling of his own. Because the guy said he killed like 17 vampires. And it's like, yeah, but let me tell you about my friend that killed 5, I guess technically, because one was a couple. The couple, by the way, was killed with holy water, not acid. So, fascinating little twist on the story that's all being told there. But yeah, it's a decent story. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have fun ranking the stories in this when we get to that point. And I've already got the system set up to rank it, so I'm excited for that. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this review. An enjoyable story. Not the best, definitely not the worst. It was decent. So anyways, guys, that is going to do it. Again, Patreon, if you wanted a week early, you can find that in the description below. And, yeah, it's been fun. We'll see you next time. Goosebumps tomorrow. We'll see you there. Peace.